A big warm hello from me, your host, Samaya Mehta. Welcome to yet another episode of Cookies with CoderBunnyz. Today we have here an amazingly passionate, cool, and fearless entrepreneur, Punit Soni!
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Thanks a lot.
So Punit, I was reading about you and I read that you left a job to do an MBA from Wharton and then ended up working at Google. And then you were a chief product officer for Flipkart. And now you have your own company based on machine learning. So a question. Can you explain in the kids' language what is machine learning or artificial intelligence and why does everybody talk about it nowadays?
It's a good question. Thank you for asking. I think that if about 10 to 50, maybe 20 years ago somebody asked the same question, they would ask, what's the internet and how is it going to change the world? And now everybody knows what the internet is. You have a really nice iPad where you're actually displaying stuff and looking at it. It's all because of the internet. And so what machine learning and artificial intelligence is going to do to us is basically what the internet did to us 20 years ago. That's how important it is. What it is the ability to teach a machine to make itself better. So for example, when you go to school, you learn new concepts and new ideas. Every day you come back, you feel a little smarter. And because now you're a little smarter, the next time you learn something even more harder and then you become even more smarter. So what we do is we basically allow a machine to learn very, very simple things initially. And then next day when you turn it on again, it's now a little bit more smarter, so it can learn even more, and so on and so forth. And that basically makes it, one day, hopefully, will make it, hopefully, as intelligent as us. And that's what we call artificial intelligence. And the process of actually teaching a machine how to make itself smarter is what's called machine learning.
So, a follow-up question to that. In machine learning, is it like very basic? Do you mean like 2 plus 2, or are machines like kind of more smart that can do multiplication right away?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I think here's a good example for you to learn how this works. So, I mean it's rudimentary, but let's try it. Take a shot. So imagine, have you seen a Tesla? You've driven a Tesla, sat in a Tesla?
Yeah.
You have a few more years to go before you drive it. When you're going in a Tesla, there are stretches where it's basically driving itself, especially on a highway. A good example is that whenever there is a pothole on the road or there is a bump at a particular place, the suspension or the floor of the Tesla learns to adjust itself. Or the driver might actually tell it, I think something's coming, and then things may adjust. And then the next time when a different Tesla drives on that road, it learns automatically that there was a pothole and it actually moves its suspension. So how does that work? The way it works is, one machine was going, and either because of driver's intervention or because of the pothole kind of being there and the Tesla shaking as it's driving, the Tesla learned that at that point in the map there was something. Then it actually moves that information through the internet to a place from where all the other Teslas can download that information. And once they all do that, now they know that on 280, when you cross Arastadero and you go 500 feet ahead, there is a place on the third lane that actually has a pothole, and so I should move my suspension automatically. It's a very simple example, but it's an example in which we taught a machine something. That's the concept of machine learning. Of course, it's much more complex, but that's the easiest way to explain it.
Okay, thank you.
Does it help?
Yeah, it really does.
Good.
What does it take to be fearless?
What does it take to be fearless? It's an interesting question. I think that if you realize in life that all sorts of experiences, whether they result in success or failure, are going to only make you even more better as a person, then you will realize that the consequence of doing something or the result of doing something, whether it's success or failure, is almost not that relevant. What's most interesting is that you did something. And if you feel like that, if you feel in life that you can do whatever you want to do, and it's okay if you actually succeed sometimes and fail sometimes, but almost every single time you're going to get smarter and stronger and better at what you do, then you'll become fearless. Because most people in life are afraid of failure. But if you don't care about failure or success and you only care about the journey, if you like the game, and it doesn't matter if once in a while you lose or once in a while you win, you'll always have fun playing the game. And you'll be fearless. You'll be ready to play every game you want to play and have fun with it. So, that's what I think fearless means.
Wow, that's really powerful.
Okay, thank you.
Since you're always an enthusiastic and excited and positive person, how do you all stay positive?
Well, I don't think I'm always an enthusiastic, positive person. There are days when I'm like pretty grumpy and negative. So I try hard. First of all, in my role as somebody who's actually starting a company from scratch, or in my role when I'm leading large organizations or groups and we're trying to build something, it is important as a leader for you to exude optimism. Everybody, in one way or the other, look to you to see if if things are going to be okay or not. And so I would say that the core characteristic of a leader is somebody who can absorb a lot of stress and pressure and just be calm and relaxed and just go ahead and deal with it. And when you do that, then a lot of people will say you're optimistic and you're happy. And in many ways you are, because you have learned to kind of control your emotions and control how you feel about things, and you're not affected by the day-to-day. Something went very good, I'm feeling very happy. Something went very bad, I'm feeling very bad. You don't feel that. So I would say that kind of a behavior in general makes you a much more positive, optimistic person. As a leader, and I'm sure when you grow up you're going to be a big leader on your own right. As a leader, that's the most important thing you have to learn. When sometimes you don't get something, you shouldn't throw a tantrum. When sometimes you actually get a lot of things, don't feel too excited. Just be even about it. And the more you can do that, the more people will look up to you as an inspiration and as role model.
Wow. Thank you. Yeah. How important is it to have a good mentor?
Very, very, very important. Whatever little I've done so far in my career is mostly because I've had good mentors. And I think that it's very hard to look for mentors. Sometimes mentors find you, but you have to be open to mentorship. And sometimes mentorship can come from many different places. Having this conversation with you is an inspiration of its own kind. I have things that I can learn from you. Having a conversation with people who have done a lot of interesting things, led large organizations, gives you a completely different point of view on things. Having a conversation with somebody who's decided they want to have a completely different career path can also help. So to me, you can always learn from everybody. But the most important thing is, are you open to learning or not? A lot of people sit like this, are stressed, do not want to listen to feedback, feel like some feedback is going to be a critique on them, that somehow they are bad because they're getting feedback. You miss out on so many intelligent and amazing things that people are talking about when you don't listen. And so from my perspective, there's a lot of mentorship the world can give you. You should be open to it. Sometimes you get lucky and very, very good people come to you and decide to mentor you.
Like you.
In my life, I've had a lot of other people who have been like that for me. You should be open to that. And when you find somebody like that, they usually end up supercharging your life, personal life, professional life, and career in ways that you can't imagine. So, in my case, I think whatever little I've done is because of my mentors, and I think everybody should have one.
What makes you happy?
What makes me happy? The biggest source of my happiness right now is my 5-year-old. He's a little younger than you. I think that there can be nothing in this world that's more stressful, that can be stressful, that can't be alleviated or removed as soon as I actually meet him. So I think what you guys have is the cleanliness of heart and also the ability to look at a world with a fresh perspective that sometimes we guys don't have. We spend way too much time living life and doing things and being adults that we forget to actually appreciate all the goodness that we have around us. And I think my 5-year-old has that. So when I go home, I am always happy because he wants to play with me and run with me and climb all over me, and I'm sure you do that also, right? So that's what makes me happy. You know. Everything else are things that we do for our passion, but the most important thing that we have in our life is our children. I'm sure your mom feels the same thing.
If you were to give one piece of advice to kids like me, what would it be?
The entire world is in front of you. There's so much you can do. You're only going to be stopped or constrained from doing it by your own mind. Sometimes people will come and tell you, you can't do this or you can't do that, or maybe this is not a, something that you can get into. I think that's just ignore those people.
Yeah, you should have.
Unless your mom and dad say, in which case you listen to them because they usually know much better than you do. But there's nothing that's impossible. Everything can be done.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing that's stopping us from doing that
is our own mind.
So I don't think I need to give you any advice. You know exactly what to do. When I was, and I think I've learned it over time. I'm obviously not wise enough to learn it at your age. But, when I was studying, I realized that I didn't know how to actually, start a company. And so when I literally graduated, the first thing I did is start a company. Then I failed, and it was a lot of fun. Learned a lot. And then I thought, I didn't know how it is to actually invest, and so I actually went to venture capital, but I didn't really feel that was the right thing. Then I said, I think I want to actually work in a large tech company that's like world class. Will I ever get into it? And then I got into Google. And then I said I wanted to turn around a company that's actually floundering and its strategy isn't working, and so I did Motorola. And then I said, I have been here in the US for so long, I actually want to go to India and try to actually restart my career from there. And so I went to Flipkart. And then I said, I want to start from the ground floor again, and I want to, start my career as if it's just from the beginning. And so I'm doing a startup. So I think the reason we do all these things is because we're not afraid. We can do whatever we want to. So if I can do these small little things, I'm sure you can do very, very big things. Right? If you're not going to worry about being afraid or failure.
Thank you. Last question.
Yeah.
Cookies, cake, or chocolate? Which one's your favorite?
This is a very good question for my kid. Between cookies, cake, and chocolate, I'll probably go for dark chocolate because I like that, especially with my wine. And but mostly I'll eat a lot of fruit.
I also really like fruit and chocolate.
Yeah, I don't know. I think all kids like cake and cookies and chocolate. So you can say fruit to make your mommy happy. I know how it
I
goes.
like all of them, but I also really enjoy fruits and vegetables.
Oh, wonderful. You should eat a lot of them and play a lot and go do amazing things.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for your great answers. I bet a lot of kids can learn amazing things from you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.